I have a friend that just created berlinballs.com. And what they want to do is they want to change the world by selling Berlin balls to old ladies. And this is very good, like old ladies getting Berlin balls online. But my friend isn't actually a guy that is technical. He needs to hire a CTO. I recommended him a friend from college, this guy. And it's my college mate that knows a bazillion languages. He knows JavaScript, PHP, Java. He can handle everything. He knows all the database in the world. And from the beginning, he's actually taking care of the stack that you want to use. 1 year after, everything is well. The berlinballs.com is having excellent growth. Funding, they got funding, a Series A. And they need to hire more engineers because they need to do a lot of features for the old ladies. And there will be a lot of happy fat grandmas. Life goes well, except for the technical debt. It seems that my friend wasn't able to, he was able to pick technologies, but he wasn't able to understand the architecture that he needed to have in order to scale after a year or 2 years, or even with the team growing, he wasn't able to handle that. So he was fired, of course. And the next CTO needed to think, like, will I rewrite everything, or will I integrate? But with integration, the problem is that if you want to integrate, you will have the need to keep up the legacy code. And then you will start hearing your engineers like just complaining about legacy. And this is a mess. So this is my grandma that is super sad because she can't have the Berlin balls that she really want to have. And we don't want customers unhappy. So let's do an exercise here. Let's create a startup, and you guys are my CTO. I'm working with you. I have 5 developers. We are currently making our API. We have 1 repository, so it's the API, and 1 database that just serves for development. We still don't do deploys because it's just a development environment. And you guys are saying me, man, you need to be very careful writing code. We are following domain-driven design. And I'm like, DDD, what is that? I need to read a book to understand that. But with the help of the other engineers, we can start learning a bit more about it. Okay, this is the pre-production stage, and we are writing the API with Redis for back storage. Next phase is we will start having the first front end. It's an admin. The admin will serve for, it's a platform, it's a front end that serves for all the founders and the administration of the company to start creating the necessary fields and the things that we are actually selling in the company. This is still pre-production. We aren't still live. Next thing is, you guys say me, let's start splitting the front ends that we have by context, by the stakeholders that we want to have. The admin is clearly a stakeholder in the company. It's for the founders and the administration of the company to make their changes. Then we will have operations. Operations is the platform that the operational part of the company will use to create and manage internal resources. And then we pass the stack to, we are still 5 developers, but 3 repos. One thing about your decisions is, right now I am a developer, and I'm not very happy because I'm working always in the same project. Because, and this, I see that it makes sense because you guys want us to deliver faster. So if I am always working in the same project, of course I will be faster doing something that someone from Ops platform is doing. There's one cool thing also is you guys just decided to create a shared library. Because since this is an API, and we have already 2 front ends, maybe it makes sense to create an API client that will have all the endpoints, and you don't need to call it directly. So we just created a shared library with the API client for the front ends to communicate with the API. And this is great. So staging. Let's go live. Let's get our first environment that is very similar to it's actually live-like environment. So let's deploy. And we are currently having 3 environments because we have development, staging, and the test environment. We introduced a new database that's DynamoDB. I don't even know what this is, but I trust you guys. We can go on this later if you want. And we are already making 8 deploys because we are 5 developers. And imagine that we want to release very often. And we are releasing like 2 times each front-end platform, 4 times the API every time you need to change for a front-end. It's going well because we are making a lot of changes and deploying very often. It's something that's a good practice. But now let's go really live, like production and having the platforms for demand and supply. Sorry, I forgot to say that we are a marketplace and we need to handle with the demand and the supply side of the product. So the team grew. You already got an investment. Congratulations. We have 13 developers right now, 9 repos because it's 1 repo per project, 4 environments because we added the new environment that is production. And maybe since Dynamo has some problems with join queries, it's very good for lookup queries, but it's not very good for join queries. We added a search engine called Sphinx, and we are already making 44 deploys a day. This is very good. The problem is the shared library. Right now, I have some tickets. Right now, I have some tickets that are. I have 10 pull requests made to core, and they aren't being merged because Ranveer still didn't finish the tickets, and we have dependencies in the services. Sorry, Ranveer. Maybe it also makes sense to add reporting to the company. Founder starts asking how much are we selling? I need to know the KPIs of the company. I need to know everything about it. And so you guys decided to add the reporting platform, more deploys. So the thing is, the shared library started to be the root of all evil. Since right now, time passes and we are now 20 developers. We have 13 repos still, but we are now reaching the 80 plus deploys a day. And the problem is that right now we have all the engineering managers are having problems releasing things because they are passing the whole day making stand-ups with the teams and unblocking the coupling that exists in the projects. And we are still adding more. We are making new mobile apps. The problem also of the shared library in the API client is that since they were the same guys doing it, this always is a mess because if it's the consumer of the API and if it's the same guy that is writing the consumer of the API and the API itself, it will not do the best code and the most flexible code to do it. It will just leak some logic. Leaking domain logic, and the API doesn't scale anymore because right now we have like 50 pull requests to be merged just today. So right now we have a coupled architecture. Maybe we failed and we need to hire a new CTO. Let's see. This is my life. I'm always creating pull requests, but I need to tell everyone, guys, hurry up! I want this merge. This is the team right now. The problem of having coupling is that it will slow the release cycle. Since we don't have an automated process and everything is a bit coupled, there is also that manual process that needs to be done in order to release a full feature. And I'm super bored. I'm always working in admin. I want to do cool stuff. I want to go to the API. I don't want just to do front end. I want to know a lot of technology, a lot of architecture and technology, so that I don't get bored. So, how are you guys fixing this? The obvious solution is to kill the shared library. That's okay, but like, weren't us in college always hearing about don't repeat yourself? If you have the same code in two places, you should merge it. You should have that code only in one place. Having duplicated code will always make you having a lot of bugs. But this isn't necessarily true. You guys just showed me this book about microservices, and they said, I'm not saying that we are going to a microservice architecture. I'm saying that it's the same principle because this is a distributed system. And this guy says, I was looking at the book and I found the answer. Like, it's important not to repeat code. Of course, there's the dry rule, but it's preferable to repeat code and don't have to mess with coupling. That's what we're suffering right now. So let's kill library, but we still have a problem of core, the core API. The problem is with the API is the API has the whole business logic of our product. And you guys are saying me, let's split this. Let's split this so we can have separated deploys. I'm like, are we splitting this? Are we really splitting this? If something goes wrong and we are messing with the most important platform, the business will just not work. But I will trust you guys. The good thing is that you guys are so intelligent that you remember at the very first beginning when you were architecting this to follow the domain-driven design. Domain-driven design allows you to have coupled context. And by having coupled context, it's a very good architecture to create a big monolith. But all your code is separated in a domain context. So the thing is, and you guys say to me, let's just separate the delivery process and create a pipeline for each one. But this is still very, very, very hard to do. So let's just try to do small use cases, identify small use cases, and do that. So we started by splitting some application layer services, and also domain, the pricing algorithm also. Let's start by getting small services that we can actually extract without messing too much with core. So let's find the code that was leaked to the shared libraries, to the API client. Let's find that code, and let's port it to a separated service. So we started by creating centralizing authentication. There's also the pricing and search jobs APIs that we can extract and have a small service which we can experiment. This is also very good to understand. Do you guys want orchestration or choreography? And I ask you, what the hell is this orchestration and choreography? Orchestration is what you usually have in small applications. Orchestration is good to have a request reply way of doing things. Imagine a controller. Each line is synchronous. Each line will be, the next line will be waiting for the previous one to execute. And you know that line will be executed. You need to wait for the response of the last command. This is synchronous in request reply. Choreography is different. Choreography allows us to scale much more, because you aren't you don't have a coordinator doing things. You just have something saying, OK, this happened. It's asynchronous. Let's just forget it. And some service will consume it. We started with choreography. For us to start with choreography, it was very good because we were looking at the messages that we were sending, and we're creating separate consumers to create services for that. And this way, we can actually guarantee that we aren't breaking anything, because since it is a message, you have failovers, you have everything that you can repeat the message if you want. You can repeat the consumer if you want. So we are starting making some consumers in Golang. This is also very good to try new languages and see what fits the purpose. It was also very good to start looking at cluster management. I was a bit afraid of your decision to have this in a very distributed architecture. Also almost looking at a microservice architecture. And this is very good because by separating tiny pieces of code in different services, we can actually try different cluster managers. And this allows us to have a fully automated process. I have this teammate, Ranvir. The good thing is making a pull request. We merge it. And we have a build process that will automatically deploy everything. So we are using Circle CI. Circle CI is building an image. It tags it, and we'll push to our private repo. Then the deploy is just update the definition in ECS. We decided to use ECS and try it. Let's see if we continue with that. Okay, now we killed library, and this is your vision. You guys want to have all the domain specific code separate in one service each. We are already having 40 plus repos. By having automated deploys and everything separated, you don't have dependencies, and this will allows you for a much faster release cycle, and you'll have better feedback loops. We are also considering mono repo. This also allows us to have a different team organization. Right now, I'm working in all projects, in very small teams, three team developers, and I'm super autonomous. Like I can do something, and whenever there's a merge, I know that it will go live, and it's okay. And I'm actually motivated because right now I can look at different languages, different stakeholders, because the business is also very interesting, and all developers are happy. When I talk about scaling, it's also very important to know that scaling is not only performance, it's not only technologies, it's also organization. And everything is super coupled. The organization and the technology that you pick and the architecture that you pick are super important to understand the growth that you will have. Guys, we've just built Uniplaces. This is our story. So the key takeaways that I want all of you guys to have is, if we are starting something, really consider having very good quality standards. Do tests. Don't do abbreviations everywhere. Don't do stupid naming in variables. This is coming from the very beginning. It's super important to have this. If you keep this culture in your company, it will be much easier to change things when you actually need to change it. We follow the 80-20% rule, and I recommend this book, Clean Code. If you guys want to clean code, and clean code is all about being writers. We write code, and we should consider us authors. If someone is reading our code, everyone should understand. The code should be self-explanatory. The 80% rule says when you're writing code, you are actually 80% of your time reading it and 20% writing, because you need to understand the code that was previously there. Pick the right approach. We decided to go for a domain-driven design. because it really focuses on business. In our company, there's no like, you can have a domain and a business guy talking with a developer, because what the developer will be saying about the company is exactly the same that the business guy will say. For instance, if you are talking in accommodation providers, we always say accommodation provider. We don't say landlord. These are two different, these are synonyms, but it's important for the developer and for the business guy to understand what they are trying to say, each one. Bounded context is also super important. It's just not about object-oriented programming. It's about having the context with the business focus uncoupled. So language frameworks, databases, whatever is coming out right now, they're cool, they're trendy, but they are just details. Don't care too much about this. You can, in the future, if you pick the right approach, you can change everything that you need. And then also the last one, and I consider it one of the most important ones, is the DevOps culture. You don't want to have a split between your developers and your operations team. When I say operations, it's operations in tech. It's like a sysadmin on steroids. You don't want to have that. You want to have the developer with a notion of the full stack. He doesn't need to be an expert on it, but he needs to understand what is happening and have tooling to actually do things. It's very good to have this mindset. Otherwise, this will be what will happen the whole day. The whole day will be like, whenever you're trying to release something, it will say, oh, guys, this is what's working in my computer. Just give it to the ops team. They need to solve it. So be very careful creating your environments. Start from scratch, from the beginning. When you start to writing your product, create your development environment. Make sure that it's reproducible. Make sure that every developer has the same environment and that they are coding in the same way with the same infrastructure. Invest in your release pipelines. The more you release, the better you'll be releasing. It's very important for you guys to don't be afraid of releasing. And if you want a team to scale, you need to have a very good release pipeline. So release a lot. Growing, and in the end, all the key takeaways that I said merge to this. Growing is not about picking technologies. It's about all these three takeaways. So I ended this, and I'm available for questions. Questions, anyone? Over there.
Hi, I'm Joanna.
Hi.
From what I understood,
Sorry, can you speak louder?
From what I understood,
yeah.
You guys went from a more broad implementation to a more microservices-driven implementation. That can't be a perfect solution because there's no perfect solution. So how are you managing to avoid the pitfalls and the downfalls?
The pitfalls of shifting to a microservice architecture?
Yeah.
I think everyone has problems right now shifting, and there was actually a talk about this, about shifting to a microservice architecture. I think the biggest problem here is that everyone that's changing right now didn't actually thought about it when they were starting implementing it. I was just in a conference 2 days ago in Amsterdam also, and it was about microservices. And everyone says that it's very good for you to start. And if you're starting with an architecture that is like domain-driven design, we will not have a lot of problems switching to a microservice architecture. That's what's happening for us right now. The other thing that's really important when shifting is having a fast and reliable release pipeline. And we always add that at Uniplaces because we invested a lot in having a very good release pipeline, looking towards to that. So the problem about microservices is either you started trying to shift for that architecture without having the right code base and the right release pipelines, or either you just started with microservice. That's something that I actually don't consider very good. You should have your monolith application, understand your use cases, and then split after that. Because otherwise you will just start creating a lot of microservices, a lot of dependencies. You will not be able to log. We will not have centralized logging. You will not have. You will have circular dependencies, and it will all be a mess. So I think it's all about having the right approach in the beginning and not in the end. I think.
Hiya, great talk.
Thank you.
I was wondering, what practices are you following to make sure all your developers have the same environment?
Environment? Okay. Yeah. We actually have two practices right now. When we started having using virtualization. Like we just have the Vagrant machine with Ansible provisioning, and whenever someone joined, there was already a development environment for the guys to work. And something very, very cool also about domain-driven design for you guys to know is we could actually code for 6 months without picking a database. We were developing for 6 months, working with Redis in isolated development environment. And then when we decided to go to production, we already knew exactly the cases that we needed to identify, to look up. We knew that we were almost we were having lookup queries and not I forgot the name, sorry, and not join queries. So that's why we decided DynamoDB. But since we choose the right architecture and we had the isolated environment, everyone was working in the same, and we knew what we needed to have. But I don't know if I answered your question. Any more questions? I will give a Berlin ball to someone that makes a very good question, not complaining about the other ones.
I just have a simple question. How do you trace all the microservices? Do you have a centralized log? And
okay.
How do you handle?
We have clusters, and clusters have services as Docker image running services. Okay, and we always opted by having centralized logging. Since the beginning, even before having microservice. Because before we had microservice, we had somehow service-oriented architecture. It still is. Microservice is a service-oriented architecture, just with more fine-grained detail. And we always had centralized logging. The problem with logging is not the question is not being centralized, is actually tracing. Just by centralizing, you can't trace. But there are tools that actually, there's only one tool that I know that is good. I don't remember the name, but I know there's tools, and you also have to prepare your application to send logs where you can correlate the events. So it's very important for you to start by having centralized logs, and also correlation between all services for you to be able to debug to do end-to-end debugging. There's one more there.
Hey.
Hello.
So my question is, how would domain-driven development would work when you don't quite know yet what your domain is? Like when you're a small startup.
That was the question I was I was waiting.
How do you avoid the pitfalls we saw in the initial approach you demonstrated? Thank you.
Just to give some context, domain-driven design is a design that is super expensive, and it's for the new developers, and I know they feel this. Whenever they want just to add a property in an object, it's a mess. They need to work in 20 files. But you cannot assure that in the pitfalls that we'll have with domain-driven design, with whatever approach you pick, will be the same, because you never know how business will evolve, and we suffer that a lot. We had features that were working in like for 1 month. That then they just said, "Oh, guys, this is not the right way. Let's change." This is not something you can control, but it's something that you should be prepared for. And actually, picking the right approach also helps you to manage those things. Okay.